Sorry. My main points to raise will be in regard to stormwater and its ill effects on roading in the district, but I could go on for days about this, so instead I'll focus mainly on my neighbourhood and new infrastructure in this area. On the 20th of April, I had a call for help from a local resident regarding water runoff from the road and newly built cycleway into their property, overflowing into their gully traps and flooding their septic tank system. I've known this property all my life and never seen flooding issues there before the install. Where the cycleway now runs, there used to be a swale that caught most of the flooding uphill from the property. Now it would appear as if 100 metres of new seal funnels this water straight into their property. Another area of concern on Halkett Road has flooded over the road almost every rain. The 60 km/h sign west of West Mountain on Halkett Road has curbing around the planting area, and this has caused runoff from the road to pool and cover sometimes both west and east lanes. Another area of concern is the new subdivision on the West Coast Road, State Highway 73, that's the image there, east of the township, and their noise mitigation soil. I do understand that this is considered an LTSA issue, given the road in question, but when the runoff of stormwater is coming from a newly consented subdivision, I fail to see how. Interesting that the water must first run uphill to then run into what I am to assume will be a yet-to-be-completed stormwater grate. That image shows 2/3 of the state highway covered in water. Another little further from home and closer to this chamber would be the Hoskins Road railway crossing. There's a lovely massive soak pit on the side of the curbing, but no way for the water to get off the road and into it when the stormwater drain fails.
I'm really hoping
This area has been flooding for decades, and as long as I can remember, it adds insult to injury that it's between here and the council's lead roading contractor. I have had numerous residents complain about the water race charges they have to pay even when the water race aren't even inside their boundary. They have attempted to contest this in the past and it's fallen on nothing. I thought rates for services not received were not charged. That would be a direct sign of it being contrary to this. Please stop installing nice-to-haves if they could lead to serious injury or death of our community by retaining water on local roads or flooding the ratepayers literally out of their largest investment, their homes. The amendments on the bylaw, by my understanding, give council the right to revoke CCOs for stormwater and alike. I would wonder how this would align with changes to the Resource Management Act, given there's a lot of talk regarding minor residential dwellings. Would this change to the bylaws restrict ratepayers from proceeding? As we move to make granny flats more affordable with less compliance inspections from council, with homeowners being able to engage with either licensed building practitioners, which I am, full disclosure, or engineers instead of council inspections, is this just another way to clip the ticket? I'd hope not. I'd hope that we could move to help our ageing community in a cost of living crisis rather than hinder them. And given the cost of rates seem to be climbing ever still, many see this change a good solution to moving gran or granddad in to share expenses and help with childcare, as both mum and dad need to work longer and more days. Already, council have revoked building COCs for local homes that have been compliant for over a decade. This is totally shifting the goalposts, in my opinion, and a little bullying. I do have reservations about the council having the opportunity to revoke COCs for existing systems if it could impact ratepayers. Our community is struggling already. Rates arrears have doubled in the last 12 months, and I fear this is just another straw to the ever-increasing load on the community's back. Soon we will hear the snap. I did find it less than amusing that this consultation had a 4-week timeline and the local water done well didn't. One is severely more important than the other, in my opinion, and this consultation only encompasses one element when the other covered two. I'd be happy to endorse the proposed changes if there was more detail explaining examples. For example, if we were to revoke a COC because of sewage contamination or alike, fair enough. but if the revoke is of John and Jane ratepayers' soap pits or family home going to the public system, then I would be strongly against it. Again, I have come to the conclusion that this consultation lacked depth, clarity, or even what it encompassed, and many were apparently unaware of its existence. Perhaps that's why there are so few submissions. But also the community has expressed distrust and comments like, they'll do what they want to anyway, and what's even the point, they don't listen or care, are rather concerning. Once again, I'll mention in closing, once faith and mana has been lost in the eyes of the community, it's significantly more difficult to rebuild it. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my submission. I don't know how we go to the other photo, to be honest.
Have you got other photos that you'd like to show us?
There's one other, but IT. Sorry, I was told originally that I could bring a slideshow presentation on the day, and then I was told that, which was fine, and then I was told in an email later that I'd missed that it had to be, there was a close-off time of 2 p.m. Monday, which obviously I've now missed, so it's either one or the other. And that's the Halkett Road 60k an hour sign that goes, and as you can see, that's 2/3 of the road covered, and in that photo, it's actually not raining. So they're lovely gardens, but if we've got half the infrastructure to cater for the flooding, we need a stormwater system that runs to there or a soak pit in the middle of that garden. It's just waiting to catch somebody out, really. But yeah, thank you.
Okay, so just for clarification with that last photo, that is not happening in a rain event?
That has happened in a rain event, but it's not raining at the time of the photo.
Okay.
Yeah, so that
Thank you for
water
the
is
clarification.
standing. Yeah.
Right. Any questions? Lydia?
Yeah, I do have some questions, and I think that some of this might not directly relate to Sam, but it might actually be something that staff might need to bring back to me, if that's okay. I just want to touch on the secondary dwelling, and we're talking about connection and services. I wouldn't mind an example of how that might actually happen, and I guess the question to you as a licensed building practitioner is, do you think that secondary dwelling should be exempt from stormwater connection fees?
No, but my concern is, are current connections going to have a COC revoked for the main dwelling if somebody builds a minor residential dwelling and then intends, is it a whole new application, or can it just be slipped into that? And that would sort of be my concern there. It's adding more red tape when the goal of the Resource Management Act changes is to make it more affordable for gran and granddad to move in. If it's going to actually elongate the jargon in one aspect of that, while we're trying to limit, while the government's trying to limit the jargon on another point, it's literally robbing Percy to pay Paul, and we're just throwing the weight onto another thing. That would be my concern. There's no mention of it.
Okay, so could we have an example back this afternoon around what that would look like for that type of scenario? Appropriate treatment, audits, and cost. Would you like me to carry the operational issues that I think that actually started that way, and look at those if we're talking about the installation of a cycleway that's having ill effect on people because the swale's been taken away. I'm just trying to see how to fit that into what this bylaw looks like, because those are sort of quite
Specific.
Yeah, really specific things, and the water race thing is totally out of scope with this, even though it's something that I am working on in another area, but it's just a little bit out of scope.
I understand, I totally understand. It's sort of my point of putting them in is sort of where would be the other consultation to bring this up. The same would be plastic waste going down stormwaters. It's very difficult to actually be able to discuss this unless there's a specific consultation that goes to it. For example, iZone had millions of plastic pallets from a peasland spread all through there, and I actually contacted the council to ask if we could get it swept, and it wasn't for about 2 to 3 weeks later that all those pallets after the rain just went straight down the stormwater. Probably one of the largest leading causes of toxicity in native birds and seabirds. So those things concern me.
The new bylaw would give us more, I guess, enforcement into that type of scenario, yes?
So in that scenario, obviously that's an operational maintenance issue, and 100% agree with you. It would have been ideal to get that cleaned up before a rain event. Yeah, 100%. So the bylaw is not looking to enforce those types of things. We always want to work with people on if something's happened, let us know, and then we can go out and react and respond appropriately. So the bylaw is really a tool to help us work with people and work with landowners to get the right environmental outcomes.
So if it's not to, sorry for speaking in turn, if it's not to encompass contamination, what is the bylaw mainly focused on?
Mm-hmm. Oh, just got a bit quiet, have we?
If you wouldn't mind.
Through the chair, I'll ask staff to actually respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello?
Through the chair, I'll ask staff to respond to
Yeah,
that.
and then she growls at me and goes, through the chair! I'm like, fuck off! Rightio, Deborah.
Oh, now somebody's turned off their mic and they're still talking.
Yeah, because she then says, oh, it is...
Sam, I have one clarification, and it's around what you say runoff from newly consented subdivisions.
Yes.
Are we talking about when they're developing the subdivisions or after the subdivisions have been developed?
That first photo is while they're developing, but the curb and channel unfortunately runs uphill to then turn the branch the corner and then come back down. So they've got a big sound mitigating berm that they've built up, and I understand that they'll be doing native plantings and stuff that riparian, it will work in a riparian sense and absorb a bit of water, but the runoff of that's going straight onto the state highway. The subdivision is barely even started. They've just scratched the surface, but it doesn't take long for it to take a life, really, especially on a 100k an hour stretch coming into West Mountain.
So just on that point, I have a question for staff on that matter. Is runoff from consented subdivisions, is that Environment Canterbury's responsibility, or is it ours due to a timing after when the subdivision consent is handed over to us? Could you please explain how that works, please?
So currently, runoff from subdivisions wouldn't be covered under one of council's consents. The developer would be required to have their own
It's
their
so
own
fucking
consents
annoying.
with Environment Canterbury for that activity.
I made it so I didn't have to print it out and then everybody wrote their email addresses.
Even if that's on the verge.
Talking about points of clarification, so if you can direct them through the chair, please.
Yeah, it's a tricky one given that it's on a state highway. So the verge effectively would be no man's land.
NZTA?
Yeah, but I don't know what NZTA would really have and leverage against a subdivision. That's something I wouldn't know, I'm sorry.
So,
They're all asking you as if you're the expert.
I know.
I just asked Mr. England if he can provide some information on that, please?
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning. Morena.
Thank you for your submission. I think a number of those points are operational in matter, not necessarily specific to the bylaw. And so what we'll do as staff is we'll set up a number of service requests to have those addressed and dealt with. In terms of subdivision, Council's development engineering team reviews the stormwater design for subdivisions. And I think what we're seeing here is it's just an interim issue as for the final stormwater systems actually constructed to take that stormwater away and dispose of it, and also services being stabilised, etc. But with heavy rain coming, we'll talk to our team to make sure that's all stabilised and put in the best position possible.
Thank you, ma'am.
With no further points of clarification, thank you very much, Samuel, for your submission. Much appreciated. The other submitters we will take as read, and we will undertake as part of our decision at 2:00 this afternoon.
Thank you.